Good morning and welcome to East Perth Train Station here in the capital of West Australia, being Perth, which is the fourth largest city in the whole of Australia. Today we're getting the Prospector Train all the way from Perth through to Kalgoorlie, which is the largest city in the Australian Outback. We're getting the Prospector Train. It's going to be about a 7-hour journey today and it takes 653 kilometres, which makes it one of the fastest trains in the whole of Australia. Quite possibly the fastest train when it comes to average speed. Despite living in Perth all my life, I've certainly driven to Kalgoorlie, but I haven't actually taken the train. So it's something I've always wanted to do. So yeah, let's head over and get checked in. Getting to East Perth Train Station is super easy. It's only around 5 minutes from Perth Central Railway Station. You can get either the Midland line or the Airport Central line. Free transfer services are included on the day of travel as well, so save yourself a few dollars. Just show the ticket to the driver or the gate attendant if need be. For those who are familiar with East Perth Train Station, it's also the terminus and starting point of the longest train journey that you can do in the whole of Australia, that being the Indian Pacific, which is a mammoth 4-day journey all the way coast to coast between Perth and Sydney. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Maybe one day if the channel goes a bit more viral, might be able to try that one for you as well. So yeah, just walked over to the very long East Perth long distance train platform. Our train's already here ready to go. It's just after 6 in the morning. It departs at 7 o'clock, so that's really good. So yeah, let's get checked in. You get an included luggage allowance on the Prospector. So let's check my small bag. So yeah, as you can see, got here with plenty of time to spare. The sun hasn't come up yet. Still about 40 minutes to departure. There's a few people waiting around in the TransWa Transport Centre, where you can also wait if you get in the Indian Pacific, obviously the Prospector or the TransWa regional coaches. So yeah, there doesn't seem to be, the office doesn't seem to be open yet. So yeah, not sure if check luggage service will be done just at the train platform or whether you'll have to check it in at the office. But yeah, we'll soon find out. Certainly no real stress this morning. But yeah, just doing this trip as a bit of a weekend away, going on a Saturday morning. I'm going to fly back to Perth tomorrow night on Qantas Link, try out their A320 service, which is a very unique West Australia prospect. So yeah, it should be a really good weekend. The Prospector will get me into Kalgoorlie around 2 p.m. So yeah, I'm not going to make any specific exact claims to fame about the Prospector service, but you can definitely say it is absolutely one of the fastest train journeys you can do in the whole of Australia. Quite possibly Queensland's tilt train between Brisbane and Rockhampton, I believe, might have the speed record for the fastest train in Australia, but I believe the Prospector, in terms of average speed, covers 653 kilometres in 6 hours and 55 minutes. Actually makes it the fastest, average speed train in Australia. So it should be a really exciting experience today. But for now, let's just head into the East Perth train station, TransWa Service Centre. It's a pretty cold, frosty morning here in Perth. So yeah, let's see if we need to check in our bag or whether we can just check it in at the entrance of the train. So welcome to the Perth Public Transport Centre here, East Perth Railway Station. Also acts as the administrative offices for the Public Transport Authority here in Western Australia. It's just gone at 6 o'clock in the morning. There is someone at the the main desks there, but the terminal itself is still very quiet, and the small cafe kiosk and the TransWA service centre is not open yet. So yeah, this is the indoor waiting area where you would obviously wait for any of TransWA's regional coach services from Perth, and also obviously the Prospector Train, but also the Avon link which goes to Northam, and the Merredin link that goes to Merredin. Also, it is the terminal you would go for if you're starting or finishing the Indian Pacific Railway journey here in Perth. So yeah, it can get quite busy at certain times of the day and certain times of the week. Fast forward another 20-30 minutes or so, and the TransWA service centre does now open. You don't actually need to officially check in or anything like that for this service, but yeah, I guess you can if you need to pick up your tickets, or perhaps even try your luck buying a ticket. This is a place you can do it. But yeah, apart from that, there's also a few interesting displays about the history of the railway here in Perth and West Australia. So yeah, that's well worth checking out as we await our train to Kalgoorlie to depart this morning. Just a little bit of practical information before we head out to board the Prospector train this morning. It does leave from East Perth Train Station, as you're probably already aware by now. So to get to East Perth Train Station, all you need to do is travel from Perth Central Railway Station, which is located on Wellington Street, so it's above ground platforms as opposed to the underground station. It's a 4-minute train ride on either the Midland or Airport line out to East Perth Station. Otherwise, you can get a free Central Area Transit bus, also colloquially known as the CAT bus here in Perth, and there's also several other TransPerth buses that will take you there as well. If you really wanted to walk, it's also about a 2.3 kilometre or a half an hour walk from the Perth CBD. Booking the Prospector train service is a pretty straightforward affair. Being a WA government run service, it's really best just to book directly through the TransWA website. The standard cost for this adult fare comes in at $98.40, though generous half price discounts also apply to those with a wide range of concession card holders. So that means it would only cost $49.20 if you've got a concession card. Now on to today's route information. So travelling the Prospector train from Perth to Kalgoorlie takes 653 kilometres by rail, which is approximately 50 kilometres longer than driving by road. But it's still pretty quick. It takes 6 hours and 55 minutes, which is a quick railway journey for Australian standards. It will take us first to the suburban train station of Midland, then out through the AvonValley out to Northam, then out across the Wheatbelt over to Merredin, and then continuing through the goldfields until we get to Kalgoorlie. In terms of luggage allowance, you're allowed to take 7 kilos of carry-on on board the train, and you're also allowed to take a check bag up to 20 kilos. Though you don't have to check it in at the office or anything, just a friendly ground attendant will take it from you at the station floor, and then they'll load that into the luggage area of the train for you. All very easy. In terms of the train and the route that we're taking today, the TransWa Prospector is a multiple diesel unit operated train. Features either 2 or 3 WDA, WDB/WDC rail cars made by UGL over in New South Wales. In terms of the 653 kilometre journey itself, which leaves East Perth Station at 7:05 am and arrives at Kalgoorlie at 2 pm, there isn't a huge amount of notable stations along the way. There is plenty, but most of them are little more than requests only, little more than bus shelters on the side of the track, to be honest. Notable stations, however, do include Midland, which is the only other suburban railway station on this route. Then obviously you've got Northam, then you've got Merredin, where the crew changes with the other Prospector train coming in the other direction, and then after that there's not many more stations all the way until we get to Kalgoorlie. So as you can see, boarding's already begun for today's Prospector railway service, only around 10 minutes before the scheduled departure at around 6:55 am. So yeah, the TransWA operates the Prospector Train with either 2 or 3 WDA, WDB/WDC class rail cars. Operate just one classic seating on the Prospector, comes in a 2-2 configuration. You very much expect airline style seats, but they have much bigger legroom than that. Probably similar to that of like premium economy on some airlines. There's pretty tall fabric covered seats, they're reasonably comfortable, although a bit hard as you could imagine after the end of a 7-hour journey. One thing to do take note, however, the window seats do seem to be misaligned, however, so every second seat has kind of a huge window space and the other has a more limited half window vantage point. I ended up with the half vantage point window. It was still perfectly fine for filming. It wasn't really a deal breaker, but yeah, probably try and get the full window ones if you can. You do have to make seat requests in person or when you book. So yeah, just do that because you can't actually select your own seats. For your information, as today I understand is going to be a very lengthy train journey review. How it's basically going to work is I'm going to be providing rolling commentary throughout various aspects of the journey, especially when we're going in and out of stations, but I'm also going to be trying to showcase some of the great scenery of West Australia's AvonValley, Wheatbelt, and then finally the goldfields. So it's going to be a mixture of commentary and a bit of a mixture of scenery doing the talking. Obviously I understand many of you might be time poor these days, might not have the time to watch a review over an hour long, but yeah, to make things easy I'll definitely put timestamps in the description below to express lead you to various parts of the review that might take your interest. But yeah, if you do have the time, absolutely watch it the whole way through. It's a really amazing train journey as we really change through different landscapes and terrains as we head over from Perth all the way to the golden outback city of Kalgoorlie. Now as we leave East Perth Station right on time at 7:05 am, what better time now? Just a friendly reminder, if you're new to my channel, a very warm welcome. If you're an existing viewer, a very warm welcome back as well. Whatever brings you to my channel, whether it's my flight reviews, train reviews, aviation or travel content, or a combination of any of it. If you do enjoy some of my content, really appreciate you give it a like, engage with the channel, and most importantly subscribe so you won't miss another one. But yeah, now we're just leaving East Perth Train Station now. The first stop on today's journey will be Midland. So Midland is a northeastern suburb here in Perth. So yeah, we begin today's journey travelling along the Eastern Railway, which basically travels between the port city of Fremantle all the way to the AvonValley town of Northam. So yeah, we're now travelling along the Midland line now, which is a suburban Trans-Perth railway line here in Perth, and it's going to be about a 16 kilometre or a 20-minute journey until we get to the centre of Midland. Seeing we're travelling on the suburban Perth railway line right now through to Midland, just before I give you a bit of information itself about Perth's public transportation railway network. It's quite an advanced railway network here in Perth, both a mixture of old and much newer lines. There's a total of 76 railway stations all across Perth, as far north as Yanship, all the way as far south as Mandurah, which is a span probably over well over 120-130 kilometres. And yeah, there's 7 railway lines, including the newly established airport line. You've got the Armidale line, you got the Fremantle line, which the Midland line actually runs into. And then you've got the Joondalup, Mandurah and also the Thornley lines. And yeah, there's 76 railway stations in the whole of Perth. And there's also a very extensive bus network as well. And there's even ferry services between South Perth and the city centre. As I alluded to earlier, the first part of the journey where the railway line we're currently on is the Eastern Railway, which runs all the way from the port city of Fremantle up through the AvonValley, finishing at Northam before it continues on as the Eastern Goldfields Railway all the way to Kalgoorlie. But here we are now at Midland Station. It's the first and only stop in metropolitan area on the Perth line. Now that we're leaving Midland, which is the last metropolitan station here on the Prospector train service, we just picked up a few more passengers, and yeah, the next station's going to be the lovely little town of Toodyay, which is in the AvonValley region of West Australia. We're now going to be heading out of built out Perth now, going to be heading through adjacent to the Swan Valley, then heading up into the sort of Perth Hills, crossing the Darling Scarp, and then heading into the beautiful semi-rural AvonValley area of West Australia, which is really lush and green, really lovely part of WA. Best thing about it is that it's so close to Perth, making it a perfect place for a weekend away or even a day trip. I'm going to cover off on the in-flight entertainment screens, or dare shall I say in-train entertainment screens, a little bit more further in more detail once we leave Northam. But as you can see, today's a safety demonstration and also a bit of a video about the features and the services available on this train is conducted on the screens that you'll find in the seat back of these fairly spacious and moderately comfortable seats. You can definitely see this safety demonstration and train information video was certainly filmed quite some time ago now. Definitely looks pretty old, but nonetheless it's really good that this Prospector train service has in-train entertainment screens. Really looking like a good start to the journey here. Now as we start to make our way through the lovely and beautiful AvonValley region of West Australia, just a little bit of information about the region itself. So it is a national park. It's around 47 kilometres northeast of Perth. It's aptly named after the Avon River, which flows right through it. So yeah, it's basically just an undulating plateau of nice rolling hills. It's got some really nice countryside. It's a really great place for camping and hiking and all sorts of outdoor activities, kayaking, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's really close to Perth and it's just a really beautiful part of West Australia. Best thing being it's so close to Perth, it's so accessible, so great day trip from Perth. But yeah, now as we start to head our way up into the AvonValley, what better time now just to sit back and relax for the next little bit of part of the journey until we reach the town of Toodyay. Welcome to the small town of Toodyay, which is the first station outside the Perth metropolitan area on the Prospector Train. Toodyay is the second largest town in the AvonValley region of West Australia. It's located just 85 kilometres to the northeast of Perth. Toodyay Station was established in 1966 with the town population of 1,362 as it currently stands. The town itself was founded in 1860. As we now leave the small town of Toodyay behind, about an hour and a half into the journey now at 8:30 p.m, we've now got around 560 kilometres to go. It's also important to remember we've now technically in the Wheatbelt region of Western Australia. So yeah, our next town will be Northam, which is the largest centre in the whole of the Wheatbelt here in West Australia, also the largest town in the Avon Valley. So until we get to Northam, please just continue enjoying some of the lovely rolling green hills of the Avon Valley. ...20 kilometres up the tracks from Toodyay, welcome to Northam, which is going to be the largest regional settlement on today's Prospector railway journey, with a population of around 6,679. Northam is the largest centre in the Wheatbelt region of West Australia, and indeed the Avon Valley. First founded in 1833 and located around 96 kilometres northeast of Perth. Northam is also widely regarded as West Australia's largest inland town that's not founded on mining. That is Kalgoorlie, where we'll be going later on. Northam is another one of those easily accessible day trip destinations from Perth, with people of Northam obviously having strong connections with Perth. Northam is easily accessible to Perth both by road and also by rail, where the residents of Northam can choose from using either the Prospector, Merredin link or the Avon link, which terminates at Northam. The next station on the Prospector line will be the small town of Meckering, which is made famous by the 1968 Meckering earthquake. A bit more on that a little bit later on, but won't actually stop there today. So the next station we stop at will actually be Cunderdin in the central Wheatbelt. But for now, let's have a look in more detail as we exit the outskirts of Northam here on today's in-screen entertainment options. So at each seat you'll find a fairly large, sturdy but otherwise unremarkable stock standard tray table, while there's also the small IFE screen that I've been alluding to, which you'll find at the back of each seat. The IFE system itself is quite a unique feature of the Prospector, with not many other Australian passenger train services having a comparable entertainment system. The range of TV shows, documentaries and movies wasn't the most extensive, but most people should find something to watch the journey, including myself. I was able to watch 3 or 4 different documentaries along the way, which was really good. Passenger information such as a moving map were also available on the screens, however this did not appear to work for much of the journey. It appeared to freeze from early on in the journey. There was also camera view so you can see at the front of the train as the journey's along, though it was a pretty blurry image to be honest, but it's a pretty cool little extra feature of the train nonetheless. The train also had internet streaming of ABC News and several other ABC radio stations. Once again, I didn't really have much luck with these live streams. They didn't really seem to work outside of Perth, to be honest, so I don't really know why they bothered having them. Impressively, there is free Wi-Fi. Has just been rolled out for this train journey. It's a really handy feature considering mobile reception is pretty limited en route between Perth and Kalgoorlie, especially if you're a non-Telstra customer. The Wi-Fi, however, is really only designed for everyday internet usage, and you'll likely have not much success using it for video streaming or YouTube or any sort of other intensive data purposes. But overall, yeah, it's nothing amazing, this in-flight entertainment style screen, but yeah, having it sort of on a train is pretty impressive nonetheless, so yeah, really hard to complain. Now that we had a bit of a look-see at the in-screen entertainment option and scoured out some options to watch on the later part of today's journey, let's get a snack and a bite to eat from the onboard cafe car. So on board the Prospector train you'll find a small licensed cafe in the first car. However, there's no designated seating at the cafe, so you have to bring any purchases that you make back to your seat. At the cafe you'll find a good range of snacks, pastries and several hot meal options. Pretty well the kind that they just been frozen and they reheat for you. You can also get a range of soft drinks, mid-strength beers and RTDs. You also got wine in addition to tea and coffee. Prices seem pretty reasonable as you would expect from a government run service. I kind of got like a sausage roll early on in the journey, it costs $4, and a beef pie later on, also another $4. On the other hand, you can get toasted sandwiches for $5.50, while the hot meal options are only $10. Non-alcoholic drinks ranged from $2 to $4, while you can also get mid-strength beers. They set you back $7, and I think wine was like $8.50 or something. So yeah, it certainly wasn't any fine dining on the Prospector, but you got pretty affordable prices and it's a pretty good range of snacks and drinks. So yeah, really had no complaints whatsoever with the Prospector for food and drinks. It's important to remember that the Prospector is no tourist train. It's very much an everyday passenger train, although plenty of tourists to the region I'm sure no doubt take it because it is a really interesting journey to take. So that means there is no dedicated viewing carriages or kind of outdoor viewing areas or anything like that, especially like on some of the trains in New Zealand that I did. Don't forget to check out that Northern Explorer review. But yeah, it's a pretty spacious train nonetheless, so plenty of opportunity to walk around and stretch your legs. We're now approaching the small town of Meckering. It's only got a population of around 230 people, located 130 kilometres northeast of Perth. Probably a fairly unremarkable town, but it was very much made famous as the site of then Australia's most strongest mainland earthquake, coming in at magnitude 6.9 as measured at the time. Pretty well all but destroyed this small wheat belt town and caused widespread damage to the infrastructure, including the goldfields, pipeline and the Great Eastern Highway in the region. Even caused damage in Perth as well. So yeah, very famous town for the earthquake here that happened back in 1968. You can actually still see part of the fault line nearby to the town. But anyway, we're not stopping at Meckering today. There doesn't appear to be any passengers getting on or off. So yeah, we're now under 500 kilometres, 498 to be precise, as we cruise past 9:15 a.m. and our next station coming up shortly down the road will be Cunderdin. And just like that, 10-15 minutes down the road, we're reaching the small agricultural town of Cunderdin, which has a population of around 824 people and is located 156 kilometres east of Perth. Again, another very agricultural sort of town here, as you would expect in the Wheatbelt region of Western Australia. So we've now got around 478 kilometres to go to Kalgoorlie, and our next stop will be just down the road in around half an hour time in the small agricultural town of Kellerberrinn. And just like that, welcome to another small agricultural town of Kellerberrinn. This one's slightly bigger, first founded in 1901. Kellerberrinn is now over 200 kilometres east of Perth, 205 to be precise, has a population of around 877 people. So very nice, neat little town that we're travelling through now as we approach 10 a.m. in the morning. Now got around 435 kilometres to go to Kalgoorlie. We should start picking up a bit of speed now. Our next stop will be the town of Merredin, which is one of the more noteworthy towns on the whole Prospector route, as it pretty well signifies the halfway point in terms of total journey time on the Prospector Train. It's also where the inbound and the outbound Prospector trains meet at pretty well the same time, and there's a crew swap with the Kalgoorlie based crew getting back on the train in the other direction to drive it back to Kalgoorlie, while the Perth crew that are come along to Merredin will get back on the train that's just come in from Kalgoorlie, and then they'll drive that back to Perth. So yeah, once you get to Merredin, there's crew change. This is the only opportunity on the whole journey where you can get out for 5 or 10 minutes on the platform station to stretch your legs. So yeah, now we should start picking up a bit of speed as we head towards the halfway point of the journey here at Merredin. So yeah, for the next little bit, what better time to just sit back, relax, enjoy the scenery on the way to Merredin. Now we're entering the town of Merredin in the central Wheatbelt region of West Australia. First founded in the 1890s, the town of Merredin has a population around 2,600 people. It's around by road around 256 kilometres east of Perth and 326 kilometres west of Kalgoorlie. So for all intents and purposes, it's a halfway point in today's journey in terms of time duration. And once we arrive at Merredin station shortly, there's going to be a crew change, as I alluded to before earlier, where the Kalgoorlie-based crew will swap with the Perth-based crew and operate the train back to their respective bases. So yeah, here we are at Merredin station. You can see the Prospector train arriving from Kalgoorlie pretty well at the same time, absolutely perfect time. So their crew are going to jump off that train now and jump on our train and drive it down to Kalgoorlie, and that the crew on this train will get off and get on the inbound train from Kalgoorlie. So impressively, this crew change with the two prospectors meeting is done very, very efficiently. It's amazing the two trains arrive pretty well at the same time. And yeah, the crew change is all done within about 10 minutes or so. Incredibly efficient. Although you do have opportunity to quickly get out of the train, stretch your feet on the platform. But yeah, don't go too far, otherwise the train might go without you. Now that we're leaving Merredin, we're really getting to the business end of today's journey in terms of the speed that the train will be going at. We're going to be reaching a lot faster speed soon as we head through the eastern parts of the Wheatbelt and eventually into the sparsely populated goldfields region of West Australia. Most of the stops along the way now we're not actually going to stop at because they're just by request only and no one's requesting them. But yeah, the next stop that we stop at will be the station of Southern Cross, not the one in Melbourne, a much smaller Southern Cross station. So that's going to be in about an hour and 15 minutes time now. And yeah, it's 369 kilometres to Kalgoorlie now by rail, which is around 50 kilometres slower than by driving. So until we get to Southern Cross now, what better time to just sit back, relax, and enjoy some of the beautiful West Australian countryside. It really starts to change now as we get closer and closer to the start of the goldfields region. And just like that, just over 100 kilometres across from Merredin, we're arriving into Southern Cross Station. Not that one in Melbourne, which is one of the busiest railway stations in Australia. This is quite the opposite, probably one of the most desolate railway stations in the whole of Australia, in what seems to be almost absolutely in the middle of nowhere. Anyway, Southern Cross is a frontier town on the edges of the Wheatbelt region of West Australia, first founded by gold prospectors in 1888 and finally gazetted it as a town in 1890. Southern Cross is around 371 kilometres east of Perth and has a population of around 572 people. So as you can see, Australia's second and very unknown Southern Cross railway station very much is nothing more than a bus shelter on the side of the train tracks here at Southern Cross. Certainly a stark contrast to the bustling Southern Cross station in Melbourne, which services long distance and regional trains all over the east coast of Australia. This is a very, very different train station indeed. Probably only gets, I reckon, a couple hundred passengers a year, as opposed to the probably tens of millions that Southern Cross in Melbourne does. Anyway, believe it or not, as we depart Southern Cross Station now, we've still got 249 kilometres by rail to Kalgoorlie. A little bit less if you're driving. There is 2 intermediate stops along the way between Southern Cross and Kalgoorlie, but on today's journey we're not going to be stopping at either because they're on demand only. So yeah, this is a real business end of the trip. Definitely my favourite part of the trip. Definitely going to be the fastest part of the trip now. We're going to make up some really solid ground, and we're going to reach some of the fastest passenger train speeds in Australia. We might even reach, I reckon, around 160 kilometres an hour at times. So yeah, until we get to Kalgoorlie, what better time now just to sit back, relax, enjoy the impressive scenes as we transition out of the Wheatbelt into Australia's golden Outback and the beautiful looking goldfields region of West Australia. So yeah, just sit back, strap yourself in and enjoy the magnificent scenery of the great Australian Outback as we power towards Kalgoorlie. And just like that, welcome to Kalgoorlie Boulder, here in the golden Australian Outback. Kalgoorlie, with a population around 30,000 people, is the largest unofficial capital of Australia's Outback and also Australia's gold mining capital. We're located around 595 kilometres by road east of Perth, but on the train we've taken today, we've covered a journey of 653 kilometres. Kalgoorlie was first founded in 1893. Right off the back, the West Australian gold rushes of the late 1800s. The town soon replaced Kalgoorlie as the largest settlement in West Australia's eastern goldfields. Kalgoorlie is also the ultimate destination, the goldfields water supply scheme and the goldfields pipeline, as you would have seen throughout various points in today's journey. It's very, very famous, Kalgoorlie, for its wide open streets and its historic buildings and a plethora of sort of historic pubs and hotels and all that sort of stuff. It's also very famous for the nearby Super Pit gold mine, which was Australia's largest open cut gold mine for many, many years. It's still the second largest in Australia, I believe, after Boddington, also in West Australia, a little bit closer to Perth. But yeah, it's probably still Australia's most iconic and Australia's most famous. Whilst it might not be quite as prosperous as it once was, gold mining still very much rules the economy of Kalgoorlie, very much a 24/7 gold mining city, and very much dominates the economy of Kalgoorlie with the Super Pit and many other nearby gold mining operations in the goldfields region of Western Australia. So yeah, really very interesting place to visit here in West Australia. Highly recommend you give Kalgoorlie a visit if you haven't been before. Being considerably inland in West Australia and out in the Australian Outback, Kalgoorlie Boulder has a very semi-arid, very dry climate. Not much rain in Kalgoorlie at all, apart from the occasional tropical depression after tropical cyclones. So yeah, very, very dry, usually quite hot place, especially during the summer. Can be quite a lot hotter than the coast, and also in winter it can actually get quite cold here, a lot colder than Perth. So yeah, very, very interesting climate here as well in Kalgoorlie. So yeah, if you want to learn a little bit more about Kalgoorlie, I've got plenty of other Kalgoorlie content on my channel, including a designated Kalgoorlie walking tour. Also got a Kalgoorlie driving tour as well, if you want to see a little bit more around the entirety of the city. And has also got a plane spotting special in Kalgoorlie. Very, very cool airport out here for plane spotting. And I've also got a flight review as I've taken QantasLink from Kalgoorlie to Perth. So yeah, lots of Kalgoorlie themed content on the channel if you're interested in kind of the history and sites of the West Australian goldfields region. Also got plenty of other driving videos as well from around West Australia, including the one I took from Kalgoorlie down to Esperance. A really, really cool drive indeed. Now, as we make our way into the centre of Kalgoorlie, with Kalgoorlie Railway Station only a few minutes away and only a few minutes behind schedule, which is very, very impressive for an Australian long-haul train in my opinion. Just want to offer my thoughts on today's journey. Thought overall it was a really enjoyable one, and whilst it's obviously certainly a lot quicker to simply fly to Kalgoorlie, which is only a 1 hour flight away, I think catching the train provides a pretty strong alternative to driving, which has a pretty comparable journey time. It's also a lot more affordable way to travel between the cities as well, with the cost of a ticket being 2 to 3 times cheaper than flying, and with the convenience of leaving East Perth and arriving into the centre of Kalgoorlie without the hassle of needing to go to the airport, clearing security, all that sort of stuff. I think that convenience factor shouldn't be understated either. But yeah, in terms of the train journey itself, it's a really scenic one. You start off in the lush green scenery of the AvonValley. You go through the Perth Hills, and then you head out through the changing landscapes of the central Wheatbelt, and then you get to see your Outback scenery, the goldfields. So yeah, really scenic journey. The seating was pretty comfortable, if a little bit hard. Whilst the IFE system was a bit glitchy, at least there was, like most passenger train journeys. The food and drink, while not giving any fine dining vibes from the cafe car on board, offered many affordable options, and it was a good range, so pretty hard to complain here. Finally, the staff were pretty friendly and kept us well informed of the journey's progress, which I think the timings are really great as well for leaving Perth and arriving into Kalgoorlie, especially the morning service where you leave at 7:05 and get into Kalgoorlie like we are now, right on 2 o'clock. So yeah, absolutely recommend getting the Prospector Train. It's one of the must-do railway journeys that you can do in Australia. Perhaps one of the lesser heard of ones. People tend to focus on the ones on the east coast. So yeah, many aspects are really geared to the everyday traveller, but it does provide a viable and affordable connection between Perth and Kalgoorlie. So yeah, it's not really a luxury travel experience, but it's a more than comfortable and easy way to travel. Kalgoorlie railway station is located smack bang in the middle of the town. It's conveniently only a several minutes walk to the heart of bustling Hannon Street. Most accommodation in Kalgoorlie is within easy walking distance, although there's also taxis available at the front of the station as well, should you need them. It's fascinating to believe, as we now have another final look at our beautiful Prospector train here today. Kalgoorlie railway station is certainly not the end of the line, however. It's only really just beginning. It's actually the starting point of the Trans-Australian Railway, which goes all the way from Kalgoorlie to Port Augusta, some distance of 1,691 kilometres, providing that vital east-west freight corridor across the Great Australian Nullarbor. Indian Pacific Railway service between Sydney and Perth does stop briefly in Kalgoorlie, and if you are travelling on from Kalgoorlie, the next passenger stop won't be all the way to the small, almost tiny settlement of Cook in South Australia. And just like that, we're in Kalgoorlie, Boulder, capital of Australia's Outback. That was a really brilliant journey. Took exactly 6 hours and 56 minutes, so it was pretty well bang on schedule getting into Kalgoorlie a couple minutes after 2 o'clock. So very efficient journey with the Prospector today. Probably only spent about 5 minutes stationary for the whole 6 hour and 55 minute journey, so that was really amazing. So yeah, the service itself, the crew were really friendly. The food and beverage, while fairly basic, it was very economical, the prices. The seating was reasonably comfortable, a little bit hard to seat, but that's alright. And yeah, really good experience today with the Prospector. So overall, in summing up today's journey with the Prospector, it's been a really solid one today without resorting to nitpicking. There wasn't really too much to complain about, so I give it a solid 8 out of 10 overall. Really pleasant experience. If you have made it this far into the very long review of the Prospector today, really hope it's given you a great appreciation of the very interesting scenery of West Australia's Wheatbelt and Goldfields region, giving you a bit of appreciation on what to expect when getting the Prospector train as well. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a like, hit that subscribe and bell button so you won't miss another one. Got plenty of content from Kalgoorlie on the channel, such as a walking tour of Kalgoorlie, also a driving tour of Kalgoorlie. Even got QantasLink flight review flying back from Kalgoorlie to Perth on the Airbus A320, so be sure to check out that on the channel. Should be out soon if it isn't already out. Also doing a blitz of Asia in the coming months, so plenty more flight reviews and possibly train reviews and other sort of travel and aviation content to come up on the channel in coming weeks and months. But in the meantime, feel free to visit my website aussiejetsetter.com.au for the latest flight reviews, industry news, destination guides, frequent flyer hacks and more. Put a link to my socials in the description below, such as my Instagram account, Discord server and Patreon and all that sort of stuff, so you can keep connected with the channel with the short form content as well, and also keep up to date with the community. But until the next one, thank you very much for watching today's train review, and safe travels wherever that might take you.